Drug smuggling mermaid people. Oh yeah. Netflix original series Tidelands, Season 1, spoiler-free review. Hey y'all, it's your Twisted Girl next door here, and today I am doing a spoiler-free review of Netflix new original series Tidelands, which premiered recently, and I sat there and I watched all of it. And that's, cool, because I'm not really a binge watcher, but I've been trying to do the binge watch thing to be able to do reviews of whole seasons, especially for Netflix. I usually take stuff in bit by bit, but I sat through the whole thing, and this is a spoiler-free review for those who haven't seen it or maybe haven't finished the season and you want to, get a feel of whether or not it's something you want to check out. Tidelanders follows the story of a former criminal cow who returns to her childhood home in the small fishing village of Orphean Bay. She soon discovers her family's secrets, along with the fact that there's a group of people in town called Tidelanders who are half sirens, half humans, and dangerous powers that they have, and also they do drug smuggling, led by the Tidelander queen, Adriel. Okay, so my overall impression about this series is that it is such a guilty pleasure. Oh my gosh. It's like, oh man, it's not even that it's over the top. It's soap opera-y. It's very soap opera-y. If you are someone who you dug the first couple of seasons of The Vampire Diaries before it went to crap, and also if you like True Blood, if you like Sons of Anarchy, shows like that, you will like this show. This will probably be your new addiction if you like that sort of show where there's a backdrop of something bigger going on, but really it's kind of like interpersonal drama and family stuff going on between people. And in that sense, because it embraced its soap opera-y melodrama kind of ways, I really appreciated the show. And I thought it had some really great moments to definitely be a guilty pleasure. There's also lots of sex. Lots of that happens, and lots of people getting naked. Pretty people getting naked in water where they get wet. Yay! This is not a show about vampires and or werewolves, finally. I mean, I think it's the reason why you tend to get these kind of shows that tend to have melodrama, interpersonal stuff, but also supernatural things that tend to land more towards vampires is because they tend to be the easier kind of supernaturals to write for, but I think there's so much folklore, so much myth and mysteries out there, and so many supernatural creatures to explore that it's nice that there's a show that basically attempted to do that in this kind of way. And I think it actually is a nice, refreshing sort of turn than your next, here's another vampire show, here's another show about vampires and witches and werewolves. And so it's nice because there's other supernatural monsters out there. I actually really like the characters of this show. I think when you have an ensemble cast where, once again, it's more leans on the interpersonal, the backstabbing, the drama, and all that in between, plus they're supernaturals, I think you're going to need it. So you like at least 2 to 3 people in an ensemble drama because of the fact of if it's a show where you're jumping around to different people and their issues, you can have that one character you like, but most likely, unless they are the main character, you might not see them for 30 or so minutes of an hour drama. So you need to kind of like some other people in there. And I think this show did a good job of making it so you actually cared about, or at least was interested in, other characters aside from just a one character here and there. And I liked how, at least in the beginning of the series, that they really played up the idea of characters kind of having gray areas. No one's totally inherently good, no one's totally inherently bad. They all just have these things that they want, and they have their own missions and things that play either with other people or play against other people, making people enemies or friends or frenemies. And I think the show did a good job in a good chunk of the series of playing that up, because it just makes for more interesting storytelling when everything's not just black and white and here's the good people, here's the bad people. The pacing is really quick and good, and not quick oh my gosh, we're already here, it's only the second episode, but pacing something happens every episode. Things move along every episode, and it makes sense because this is an 8 episode season that you don't have time for filler episodes where nothing happens. Like every episode you need to either have a reveal, something needs to be, shown, things need to happen, the plot needs to move along, somebody's plot needs to move along. I also want to point out, and this is important to me, that there are no significant plot holes in this season. Sometimes with shows, especially shows that lean a little bit more on the over the top or the melodrama and things of that nature, you kind of let things go. You're like, well, that didn't really make sense, or where did that come from? And it was nice that this show didn't have that. There wasn't anything glaring, at least not in my first watching of it, where I was like, that doesn't make sense. Where did that come from? No, it all worked in terms of the plot. Like, there was no glaring plot hole where I was just like, come on. I think it should be highlighted that this is a very pretty cast. I mean, I'm not a shallow person, but it was nice watching a lot of these people on screen. And you could probably have a drinking game for every time someone loses a shirt or has sex. And that's okay. Now, I just talked about the sex. The sex is cool. There's some, intense makeouts and things of that nature. In that same vein, it's not a negative. Sex in shows is not inherently a negative. What I will say about this show, though, is, and this could probably be a drinking game too, is that there's a lot of moments where it just doesn't seem like it makes sense for anyone to be getting it on at that moment, and somehow they work that in. And that happens a little bit more than I think it should for the plot, to the point where it's kind of like, okay, did y'all just need a scene transition and y'all just felt like these people should just have sex to do that? Like, just transition the scene. Let them walk out the room. I think also the show, like I mentioned earlier, it did a very good job of keeping a lot of the characters gray. What I will say is somewhere along the lines, it doesn't keep with that. I feel like maybe they end up backing themselves into a corner a little bit where some of the characters end up going. And because of that, you may be feeling at the end of the season where, as I felt, which was, okay, where can you go from here? The other thing, although I did not dislike any character, I did think, and I only name this because if you're the kind of person where you need to really like the main protagonist to get into a show, this may be a little bit of a detriment for you. I really liked Cal, the protagonist. She wasn't my fave, but she wasn't a Mary Sue, at least in the beginning. And when I say Mary Sue, I mean someone who, is a character that they're so great, they're so perfect, everything, they're like the most important person in the universe somehow. Okay, sure. And you kind of wonder if they earn that, if they're as special as everyone around you is everyone in the show is telling you they are. And in the beginning, it wasn't really like that. But I do think somewhere along the lines, the show somewhat, and this goes back to what I said in terms of backing itself into a corner, I think they do start to back themselves into a corner when they make some of the characters way too defined in order to move the plot forward. And I think Cal, as a character, may be a victim of that a little bit. And so if you're the type who you can want to stop watching a show once you get a little annoyed or whatever with your main protagonist, you may find that to be a problem. Also, I think there was a lack of diversity in it. I think, okay, this show takes place in Australia. There's Aboriginal people in Australia, a very significant amount, I think, in terms of just, the representation and things that they seek. Not getting on my soapbox, but let's be real here. And you're dealing with a show that deals with the question of these people who are of the land, of the water, and whatnot. And you have this indigenous population. Now, there were some Aboriginal and people of color in the show, but in terms of the main cast, there was like only one. And a lot of the other characters who were of color were either like non-speaking role, muscle people, or just kind of there as a plot device. And I think the show would benefit from kind of touching on a little bit more of the diversity that is actually there, especially, this whole thing of, mer people wanting to be accepted and being of the land and things of that nature. That if you're going to do that, then should be some more people who are of the land originally. Breakout performance of this show is Elsa. who plays Adriel, the Tidelands queen. Oh my gosh, she's like my new favorite character. I think maybe because I tend sometimes to lean towards the gray, somewhat dark character when it comes, because I just think they're allowed to be given more layers than sometimes the good girl or the main protagonist is. But I really enjoyed her. I think, you know, you might feel like, especially if you've seen some of the previews, that you might get tired of her kind of slinking around the set and things of that nature, but you don't. Yes, this show is Stab approved, or maybe like Finn approved. I don't know. A Finn, sure, water. Yes, it's definitely Stab approved. I really enjoyed it. I think this is it's not Shakespeare or something. Even Shakespeare was soap opera though. People are always like, oh, it's not Shakespeare, but Shakespeare was soap opera. Shakespeare was over the top, and I think this show is very much in that vein of extreme stuff happening, emotions going down. It will be your new guilty pleasure. It's a good show. It's addictive, and really hot people in it. Did you watch Tidelands, and do you have some recommendations for some shows that have mer people in it that's kind of horror infused? Let me know. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, and also be sure to subscribe so that you are the first to know when I post my videos of all things horror. Thanks for watching. Let's get creepy together.